Hello, class. Uh, Welcome back. Discussion three. Um, Hard to believe we're already at the end of this class, but here we are. So, in this discussion, we're talking about the problem with human scale and a government managing populace. So, from the research we did this week in our weekly readings, Dr. Livingston talked about how Aristotle was one of the first to talk about human scale and government. And in Aristotle's version, in dealing with it, with that issue in particular, that he says republics or democracies need to be small in size to be manageable. And one, in one source I read Aristotle, his description said you should be able to walk across the entire polity in one day. So from one side to the other, you should be able to walk across it, and that's about the size it should be um, to be properly managed. Um, and as Dr. Livingston points out in his lecture this week, following the French Revolution, France called themselves a republic, and they were one of the largest kingdoms in Europe at the time. So that was contradictory to what Aristotle said should be a good republic because they were so large. But they took a page out of Hobbes's Leviathan, and that they said they were indivisible, um, meaning they took the Hobbes type sovereign approach, like the state was the sovereign, the republic was the sovereign, and that might have been the answer for modern politics moving forward. It seemed to work fairly well for other large republics or democracies, in that like Hobbes argued, as long as the sovereign could maintain civil associations among its populace, then it could maintain its power. So, if these folks that ran the republic, right, the elected officials or however they set their republic up, um, if they could maintain public order, civil discourse across their whatever, however large their republic was, then of course they can maintain power. And so one way I feel like that works is using the Roman Republic as an example. So the fall of the Roman Republic proved that a large republic could become unwieldy and in danger of collapse from things like civil war, which is what happened in Rome with Julius Caesar and Pompey. So these forces that even Hobbes describes uh, that are a danger to a sovereign could take place in France or Rome or wherever. And the way that you could avoid that is using Cicero's mixed state. See, because without these proper checks and balances, then you become more susceptible to those outside forces that can cause a republic to collapse. So Cicero's mixed state proves to be helpful in modern government because we have maintained, you know, the state as sovereign in America and France and all over Europe using this checks and balance system of mixed state. So by dividing the power in a central authority, it becomes easier to control a populace on a larger scale. This another example is how Rome maintained power over most of the known world was they divided the Roman Republic into provinces that were ran by governors, and but they all answered to the state, which you can see is a reflection of the United States of America. Each state has its own sovereign capability to make state laws and so forth. However, each state in the United States is answerable to the federal government, the central authority. So this is proved to be the best way to combat the problems with a large human scale. Um, Managing and governing a large human populace. Some of the problems that are still difficult to avoid, even in the current system, as well as it works, are things like, which we just experienced pandemics. Uh, One we experienced in 1860, Civil War, um, and keeping up with the needs of the populace, healthcare, which we are experiencing now, food shortages, water shortages if you live in the West, like Arizona. So there's public needs, housing, there's a homeless crisis, housing, food, water, medical care, like the basic needs of your populace. They're easier to manage on a small scale, much more difficult to manage on a large scale. And so, if we can find a solution to some of these problems, then then the state just moves forward and evolves into a better state. As human progress continues, I'm almost confident sooner or later we'll come up with an improved or evolved better state to manage a global population. Thank you, and you guys have a great day.